This is it, Ron. I think this is the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets.
Say something. Harry, say something in parcel tongue.
You first.
Now, boys, what good will it do?
Better you than us.
But obviously, yes. You sure you don't want to test it first? No!
It's really quite filthy down here.
You're the heir of Slytherin. You're Voldemort.
Surely you didn't think I was going to keep my filthy Muggle father's name? No. I fashioned myself a new name. A name I knew wizards everywhere would one day fear to speak when I became the greatest sorcerer in the world.
Albus Dumbledore is the greatest sorcerer in the world.
Dumbledore's been driven out of this castle by the mere memory of me.
He'll never be gone. Not as long as those who remain are loyal to him. Fawkes.
So this is what Dumbledore sends his great defender. A songbird and an old hat. Let's match the power of Lord Voldemort, heir of Salazar Slytherin, against the famous Harry Potter. Your bird may have blinded the basilisk, but it can still hear you. Yes, Potter. The process is nearly complete. In a few minutes, Ginny Weasley will be dead.
Ginny.
Remarkable, isn't it? How quickly the venom of the basilisk penetrates the body. I guess you have little more than a minute to live. You'll be with your dear mudblood mother soon, Harry. Funny, the damage a silly little book can do, especially in the hands of a silly little girl. What are you doing? Stop! No!
You were brilliant, Fawkes. I just wasn't quick enough. Of course. Phoenix tears have healing powers. Thanks. It's all right, Ginny. It's over. It's just a memory.
Amazing! This is just like magic!
Hey there, LEGO fans and Potterheads. I'm the lawyer in the LEGO shed, and this is the 30th in a series of videos that I'll be making as I build my way through the magical world of LEGO Harry Potter. I've been collecting the Harry Potter LEGO line since it started back in 2001 with the release of the very first movie, and for this video series, I'll be building sets that have been part of the more recent waves of Harry Potter LEGO beginning in 2018 and stopping with the 2023 releases. The plan is to go in movie order, and so without further ado, let's get started. Today we're covering set number 76389, Hogwarts Chamber of Secrets. Now, this is part 2 of this particular set review, so if you missed part 1, make sure you go back and watch that first part. And in this part of the review, we're going to be covering the 3 bottom sections of the build, all of which depict various parts of the Chamber of Secrets. But first, let's dive into some historical context. As it relates to this set, it was released in 2021. The set itself has 1,176 pieces and a total of 11 minifigures, 10 of which are unique to this set. The Chamber of Secrets components are divided into 3 main parts: the main door, the slide, and the statue of Salazar Slytherin. For how long the actual Chamber of Secrets sequence is in the films, we're down there for roughly 20 minutes, which is about an eighth of the runtime of the movie itself. It's been depicted surprisingly few times. In, let's see, 2002, we had a set that came out, 7630. It was also titled The Chamber of Secrets. This was actually one of my favorite sets from the entire Harry Potter LEGO line. This was the first time it had been depicted, and it had everything that you could want in the Chamber of Secrets set. It had a molded fox, it had a molded basilisk, it came with a removable glow-in-the-dark teeth for the basilisk, a play feature, which included the bathroom. It had custom-printed wall pieces, custom-printed shields, and a Tom Riddle diary that was specific to the set. And then there was how the whole thing was constructed. It gave you this great long walkway, and we can see in the movie as well some of those lovely towers, that are at the top. It even had some stained glass windows. Honestly, I could go on and on about this set, so I will just stop myself there by saying that it was such a great one to build as a kid, and one of the few from the original line where they really nailed every element of it. We actually did not see Chamber of Secrets appear again until 2018 with the release of set number 71043, the Microscale Hogwarts Castle. There we get a pretty great representation of the chamber itself, albeit in microscale. And then, for some unknown reason, in set number 75954, we have two references to the Chamber of Secrets. We've already covered that set in this particular video series, so go back and check out that one. It's the Great Hall set. But the inclusion of the Chamber of Secrets references amount to some of the worst brick-built animals of all time. We have a basilisk and fox, both of whom look absolutely terrible, and that's really all I'm going to say about that. They're odd inclusions, they don't make a whole lot of sense, and they look, honestly, like a lot of afterthoughts when we compare it to the rest of the set. But in taking a look at the build itself for this particular set, for set number 76... Sorry, let me find it in my notes. Particular 76389. When we look at it, I would say that the three sections ultimately come out pretty great. So first we have the slide portion, and we'll start there. This one is the one that works with a different set, the Polyjuice Potion set, which is 76386. We are going to cover that in just a second, but I want to walk through some of these components first. First off, we've got a nice little slide that you can kind of see right here, this black slide area. We have some little bones on the bottom, and then if we check out the reverse side, we can see that it's kind of the rockwork area that blends into the castle. So when we do the ultimate big build of everything, it'll work into the main format there. But I think ultimately what we might notice about this one is there's quite a bit of empty space, which we'll discuss in just a little bit. But with the bones on the ground, the slide, you know, we're definitely hitting all the right things. Let me show you how it works with the Polyjuice Potion Mistake set. So if we take that set where we've got, you know, all our fun little components here and put it directly on top, it actually lines up perfectly so that if we just take our little sink and open the door here to the chamber, like so, we can then drop a minifig in, and I'll grab somebody who isn't holding something, like Harry here, and there he goes right down the slide. Super fun decision on their part to have those two things work together, and I think it's really, really successful. So we can put this all back and put our Polyjuice Potion Mistake set away. But that's really all there is to this part of the three pieces here. So we'll put this guy aside and we'll move on to the main door of the chamber. This, I think, is such a fun inclusion in many respects. One, this main door, I think, looks really wonderful with these great snake pieces. It obviously does the great creepy open. We have a nice circular element there to kind of give that that same feeling from the movie. And then kind of reminiscent of the styling of the old school set that we referenced before, the one from 2002, we have this nice little tower piece. We even have some nice little accents with the owl here. Then when we turn it around, we can see we've got some glow-in-the-dark disc or tile pieces here that are round. You know, kind of a plain backside, but I really did love this nice green accenting on the sides here to really kind of hit home that Slytherin feel. So ultimately that main door, I think, works really well. These actual the snake head pieces were what made up the snake statues in the microscale version, so it's kind of fun to see them come back again. Ultimately, this top tower doesn't make a whole lot of sense for where this is located, but it definitely makes for a beautiful standalone piece. Okay, so now we've got these two. We'll put them right here. And let's talk about the final one, the actual statue of Salazar Slytherin itself, which is definitely the big component here. It opens up to allow our basilisk to go through. It's really, really fun. And in fact, it has a little thing that you have to do in the back here, which I'll show you. But let's do a quick front intro, and then we'll do the opening up. So we've got these nice little snake statues off to the side. These are unique to this set, which is wonderful that they took the time and the energy to really do that. And I think they look quite elegant here in the way that they're built on the little platform, on the little tiles there. So one on each side, and then obviously Salazar's face. It looks great. As for the back, we've got more of our rock work, but I'll show you how this basilisk entrance component works. You just pull back this, and then you can pull out the entire section here so that you can do the whole moment with the basilisk coming out. But basically that's how his jaw opens up, and you can even see they included a nice little basilisk fang, which, then you can act out the scene that you need for the stabbing of the diary and the scene from Deathly Hallows Part 2, the destruction of yet another Horcrux as well. So anyway, pull that out, and now we have an open-mouthed Slytherin. As you can kind of see, I'll even demonstrate it from the front here. So you can see it just opens his mouth up, and then we can have, which we'll cover this guy in a little bit, but he makes sense to do it here. We can then put our basilisk through, and he can go right out, which is super fun. So nice little component there, which I thought was a good decision on their part to make sure that you could actually play out all of these pieces, and it feels like everything nicely goes back together again and can be lifted up, which is really great. Okay, so now that we've covered our three main parts, I do want to go back to the basilisk himself. He looks really great, I think. He's got a great molded headpiece that I'll show some pictures here as an inset. He's got dual colors on him, which I thought was another great decision to get a little more life. The basilisk they included in the old one was that nice kind of sandy green that they call it. But I thought this olive green was another great decision for this one. He's got this great ability to open his jaws, which again, I think it all just works really well. Printing on his eyes look great. And then the rest of him, it has a brick-built body to give a little texture like the snake in the movie does. But then he still has the ability to sit, which is wonderful, while his head's up. So I think ultimately he's quite successful when we consider him in the grander context of the set. But yeah, so let's go over what I loved. I loved how reminiscent this set was of the original Chamber of Secrets set from my childhood. They even managed to include and improve upon that bathroom play feature when we include our Polyjuice Poster Mistake set. I thought that was a wonderful decision on their part. I also loved the updates to the Salazar Slytherin statue and to the basilisk. Particularly, I want to draw attention to this kind of choice that they've made to lean into the full universe being what it is. You'll notice that some of the other or older versions of Harry Potter, they would even depict in portraits versions of real people as opposed to minifigures. Like the Fat Lady, for example, she's not quite a minifig shape. But they've adjusted that in these two new waves. So now the statue of Salazar Slytherin looks like it's a minifig head rather than looking like Salazar Slytherin's head in the movie, which I think that choice was a very smart one, and it makes sense from the LEGO universe perspective. And then, of course, the updates to the basilisk that I've already gone over. This is a way more movie-accurate looking basilisk, has a lot of fun components to it, and I think that ultimately works really well. Two things that I would have changed on that basilisk, though, I do just want to note. Its size, as it does feel a little small, and for a comparative thing here, I'll show you. There's our basilisk, and there's Tom Riddle. We know that based on that moment, right, that when Harry shoves the Sword of Gryffindor up into the basilisk's head, it could have eaten Harry whole, effectively. And there's no way that a whole minifigure is going to go inside of that mouth. So absent making him a little bit heftier, I think that's really my only criticism, beyond also noting that they could have done something to include that removable fang. So I'm glad that we got the mention behind the statue, but it would have been nice to have some way to use and incorporate the fang being removed directly from the basilisk's mouth, like they did in the original. That would have been a fun little component to have. I also really loved the use and the look of the snake elements in the main door and the flanking the statue. I think both look great. So these custom elements here on either side of Salazar, and then the ones from the main door here. I thought that, any opportunity to incorporate those fun little snake components was a good decision on their part. I do wish that we would have had more of these guys, but that's like a silly wish on that front because it would have kind of changed the whole structure, which we'll talk about in just a second. Things I didn't love, while this set is overall a good nod to 4730, it still falls pretty short. And it's mainly because we do not have the grandeur or the playability of that nice long chamber element. How we had to walk up and everything, and we had the snakes on either side, and it just had this whole like grandeur component. And so it's tough to take a set that had such an incredible footprint and reduce it down to just 3 components. It would have been really nice to figure out some way that we could have had that element here, like maybe doing in the modular system sets that protruded and then could have folded out or something like that, just like the old version did. But it was a shame to not see that done here. I also really did not like how much wasted space is in this particular portion. So we have the slide. The slide's necessary, obviously, but then we have like this whole side that's just doing nothing. Nothing's here, nothing's present. And so it kind of seems like an odd decision to have it just be this completely empty chamber when we really only need the one drop down in order for that to function. And even more, if we're going to do something, let's just fill this out with something. So it was kind of an odd choice to me to just have it be an empty space, given what we had available to us. Then I would also say that I think that this main door, while this is awesome, it's an odd inclusion because, one, it's difficult to incorporate into the rest of the modular system, and it does not obey the system rules. As you can see, this one is not on an 8x8 plate. Instead, it's on I think it's 10 by 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, a 10 by 4 plate. Everything else is on these 8x8 principles. So again, kind of an odd decision there. And what's even more frustrating, if you actually look at the promotional pictures for this, for the other sets while they've been incorporated, it's off to the side. It's just like chilling off to the side. And so it gets a little strange of like, how could I incorporate this into my main build if I'm constantly being told to kind of put it off to the side. So yeah, I think that the tower is an odd choice given where it's located, i.e. under the castle. I also think that it's strange where it can't be meaningfully incorporated. I think that when I end up, finalizing this for myself, for my big modular build, I'm going to end up tweaking it and changing it so that it does work, but for now, it just doesn't work. Last, and we have a pretty notable omission as far as the scene recreation goes, and that's Fox. We have a great basilisk, but we have no Fox. He's pretty essential to the whole thing. We have literally all the other elements to recreate this scene except for him. The only way you actually were able to get him at this point was if you got Albus Dumbledore, the minifig in the collectible minifig series line. So kind of a frustrating point there. He would have been a great inclusion here, and he's not. So anyway, that is it for the things that I did not love. But let's dive into the minifigs here for a bit. I'm going to move these to the side. And we will start off with Tom Riddle. So Tom has appeared twice before, in 2002 with the release of the very first Chamber set, which we've been talking about here a little bit already, and then as a special minifig in the Magical Treasury book, which I actually have a copy of here. You can kind of see him here. I'll move the camera up so you can kind of see him a little better. So there he is, chilling in the Magical Treasury book. And it's kind of an odd way to get a hold of him, that you have to do that, but that was a thing that's LEGO's done in the past with certain desirable figs, and if you hadn't gotten this one from 2002, or the one from 2002, then this was your only opportunity until they released this guy. And while I like this version, I think they could have done a better job with the printing on the pants, like we saw in the other one. I think they did a much better job, and we could have done better on, basically the whole structure of it. We could have gone a completely different direction, given him a cloak. I think that could have been improved, but it is nice to get him. Now, I do want to mention the diary itself, because I love that we ended up with a nice punctured diary. It is a sticker, yes, but it is great that we have at least the component here to really show the little edges of it, as well as the puncture holes from the basilisk fang that Harry puts in there. The only downside is it would have been nice to have maybe a writing of his first encounter with the diary, Harry's first encounter with it, or some ink blots, something like that. Granted, I know the pages are traditionally blank because it's meant to be something that Voldemort writes you back in, but still, would have been nice, but it is still a great little inclusion. So we've got Tom, we've got his diary. Let's actually talk about Ginny Weasley. This is actually the first and only time we see Ginny in her Hogwarts robes in these waves. So this is kind of a fun little inclusion, but I think she looks great. She's young, she's sad. She's exactly what she needs to be for this particular moment in the scene. Love her little hair piece. I think it's very reminiscent of the styling from the movie. And then, of course, her standard little Gryffindor robe there. Next, we have a Luna Lovegood, which she, I think, is the oddest inclusion here. It's the youngest we've ever seen her in the whole lineup. She looks to be in first or second year as well. She's an odd inclusion because she's not a character in the books or in the movies until Order of the Phoenix. So having her be here this young is kind of strange. Her hair does look great. She's got some nice, beautiful texture to it. It's that nice light yellow color. And, maybe the main draw here is that she's got a Ravenclaw robe on, that we've got yet another Ravenclaw robe to include. So I get why they include her, but she is an odd choice for this particular time frame. Okay, next we have Harry, who we have seen a lot of, so I'm not going to belabor any points. But the real exciting feature about Harry here is that he comes with two great pieces. We've got a wonderful sorting hat that they've done. I think the first time we saw this was in the Great Hall, but it still is a wonderful piece. It's got so much character. I think they just really knocked it out of the park with the sculpting on this one, and it really does a great job. So obviously this is what's delivered by Fawkes after Harry has demonstrated his loyalty to Dumbledore, and what we pull out is the Sword of Gryffindor. Again, I think they did a great job on this. We've got the actual jewel components there that really let us know that it's the one with rubies in the hilt, just like described in the book and seen in the movie. It even has those kind of beautiful characteristics of being a little bit thinner than some of the typical Lego swords, and certainly thinner than the one that they included in the older set, the one from 2002. So I think they just did a really great job with the Sword of Gryffindor here. And just to be a real nerd about it, you can even put the sword in to the sorting hat to kind of do the whole moment of Harry seeing it appear right before he's about to stab the basilisk. So when we look at our remaining minifigs here, we've got Harry, we've got Luna, we've got Ginny, we've got Lord Voldemort, Tom Riddle. And then, of course, we have our final one, which is our celebratory 20th anniversary version. It is our Gold Voldemort, or Goldie Voldy. And, nothing super remarkable here. He appears as he's appeared in other moments in these waves, as well as in the minifig series. It's just that he's now all in gold and the printing is that way. He's got his little 20-year stamping on the back, but otherwise we're just really continuing the collection at this point. So yeah, beyond that, pretty straightforward. Now, you'll remember from the first part of this review, we do have a Gilderoy Lockhart included. Who is a notable omission from this set, though, is Ron. We do not have a Ron Weasley, and he would have been a very logical inclusion for this lineup, because again, if we are recreating this scene, we would need Ron to be there to go down the chamber slide with Gilderoy and with Harry, and then, get stuck and not be able to continue on. But he's a notable omission, as is Fawkes, so he's just somebody I think probably should have been there. All right, and now for the overall impression of this set. As the largest set of the 2021 to 2023 wave, 76389 covers a lot of ground. On the whole, I think this set comes out being just overall good. We have a lot of really great custom elements like the basilisk, the sorting hat, the Cornish pixies, the Sword of Gryffindor, the snake heads. And then we have a lot of great custom sticker work, the Lockhart pictures from The Office, the great sticker work here to make the statue look wonderful, you know, the cereal boxes in the Great Hall, the diary. We even have some good exterior building as well, which I've shown in the other things, but I'll flip around at the end here and show you. But I think at the end of it all, the attempted modular approach just really harms the set, and it's in the areas specifically that it's trying to depict. We had to make compromises due to size and format in just about every portion of the set, and I think it shows, specifically when we look at the Great Hall section and when we look at the Chamber of Secrets section. And what's more, there are quite a few moments where they had to violate the modular principles that they were trying to establish, that therefore limits the broader ability to meaningfully swap things in and out. To give you an example of what I mean, we've already talked about this, but the portion of the Great Hall has to extend out over the Chamber of Secrets, and then the Chamber of Secrets has to extend out as well to support that. And so as a result, you then can only stack the Great Hall on top of the Chamber of Secrets because it won't work with any of the other modular components. The same thing is true as well with like the limitations that come from this guy, right? The freestanding door makes it so that we can't swap things out. We can't stack something on top. We can't move it around. So I think in the end, overall good, but has some really limiting factors here, though it is undeniable that when it's all together like this, it's pretty darn impressive, at least from the dollhouse construction and how we can kind of get glimpses of these little moments. So that is it for 76389. If you are interested in following along on this journey, please feel free to follow the account. And if there's anything else that you think I should be covering in these reviews, please feel free to drop a comment and let me know. I'm just going to move these guys out of the way and do that one shot from the back so that y'all can see. But you can kind of see here how it all comes together, and I think it looks really great, especially you can even do where the rock work is all on one side, which I think works out really well too visually, so we can kind of have that progression up to the rock work there. So definitely has great elements there, which are super fun. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome day.